It's a series about how to grow in your faith as a follower of Jesus Christ and to keep growing in your faith. It's a series all about spiritual growth. And we've been arguing that spiritual growth places us at a distinct advantage when it comes to living life. Spiritual growth empowers us to accomplish what God has created us to do. In fact, our most important objective in life could be to grow spiritually. Anyone can be open to growth, but to actually grow, we've got to make a commitment. We grow spiritually by the commitments we make and keep. Staying power is absolutely necessary for spiritual growth because there are obstacles to growing spiritually. Everything in the world feels more important, more urgent, more real than your spiritual life. A series about that and also about the steps you need to take to keep those commitments. We've identified 5 commitments that we believe are essential for people to grow as a follower of Christ. And they form the acronym STEPS: serving in ministry in the community, tithing and giving, engaging in small group friendships, practicing prayer and sacraments, and sharing our faith. So we're digging down deeper into each one of these steps. 2 weeks ago, if you remember, we looked at a step that we said was the easiest of all, at least the easiest to understand and appreciate. We talked about prayer and the celebration of the sacraments. Prayer is a conversation and an encounter with God that takes practice. The more we pray, the more likely we are to see its fruit and success. Prayer changes our world because it changes us. It changes the way we act and as we receive God's wisdom, insight, and direction. Last week we looked at what we said is perhaps the most challenging step: sharing our faith with people who do not have a relationship with Christ and His church. Sharing our faith helps us grow because it's a way in which we express love for God and others. While sharing our faith can seem intimidating, it doesn't have to be. Talked about the strategy for that also. Identify someone far from God whom you know. Invest in them through prayer and building up your relationship with them. And then finally, at the appropriate time, invite them to come to church. The people in our lives pull us in their direction, and they influence us either for the good or for the bad. Peer pressure is not just a reality for middle and high school students, and it's not just a teenager thing. That peer pressure is a people thing. In fact, there's an old adage that says, "Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future." Your friends will influence, if not determine, the quality and direction of your life. And so this is a principle of life that we've got to leverage if we're going to be successful in life. But you also have to leverage it if you want to grow spiritually. If you want to grow as a follower of Jesus Christ, you need people who walk with you in your walk with the Lord. Think about it. Our great-grandparents lived in a Christian culture. We don't. If the only contact you have with other Christians is once a week or a few times a month here at church, and the rest of your time you're immersed in a completely secularized culture, that is actually often even hostile to your faith, you're more or less trying to live your faith all alone and on your own. That is a very difficult thing to do. It's nice to belong to a big church, but it's also easy to get lost in the crowd. Need to be known and loved and supported. We all do. Without Christ-centered friendship, our walk of faith will most certainly be a slower, less steady one, and we're far more likely to fall and fail. When we do have friendships in which Christ is a central part, we connect with them in a way that we're far less likely to on our own. It's because your faith is personal, but it's not private. We grow in faith relationally. We need friends in faith. So our strategy is to develop friends in faith by joining a small group. Think of one of the basic steps in spiritual growth is getting into a small group. A small group is just that. It's a small group of people who meet on a regular basis once a week or a few times a month. Small group meetings have a very simple template. There's some time to gather and to catch up. Groups watch a video together that is often about our weekend message, and then there's a discussion. It's so incredibly simple, and yet they help to form connections and relationships that are incredibly helpful to growing spiritually as a follower of Jesus Christ. A single verse we read from St. Paul's letter to the Thessalonians perfectly captures the essence of our small groups and what we hope that they will accomplish. Paul went on several trips to plant Christian churches. And after a church was up and running, he would move on to the next city and repeat the exercise. But in a number of cases, he followed up with letters, offering ongoing instruction and encouragement. And he wrote 2 letters to the church of Thessalonica. He wrote to the Thessalonians to encourage them in the face of persecution that they were facing. We all come at faith with different perspectives, backgrounds, and experiences. My relationship with God is different from your relationship with God. And all of us have some unique perspective that we can share. And as you contribute your insights and questions and others contribute theirs, mutual growth can happen. We can influence one another into a deeper relationship with Christ. Small groups are not adult education. They're about life change. That's what Paul is talking about when he says, we were determined to share with you our very lives as well. Small groups are an opportunity to share the wins and the losses, the troubles and challenges that you're experiencing right now. When you share a joy with others, the joy is doubled. When you help carry another's hurt or heartache, you lighten their load. And besides their immediate value, small groups are like insurance. You invest in them so that when you hit the storms of life, that then you have the support and friendships that you'll need to weather the storm. Through the years, we've seen story after story of people who have benefited from the support of a small group. That if you're in a small group already, I want to encourage you, because I know it's not easy, especially at first. Some of you may have been in a group but have fallen out. Maybe it was because you had a bad experience or you felt that you didn't have time. Know that can happen from time to time, but maybe it's time to try again. For those that are ready to jump into a group, I invite you to host or create your own with other Catholic friends. If you need help, you can go to the parish website and click on the information for small groups. But mostly today we're just planting seeds. Just want you to think about it some more. Then after Christmas, we'll be offering another parish-wide small group launch that you can get into a group just in time for the season of Lent, which is a perfect time to get started in a small group. That in our gospel today, Jesus turns common wisdom on its head and he counsels us. The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. In what ways are you serving others around you? In what ways are you acting with real humility and allowing others to serve you? The Lord is teaching us it's the very best way to live, and small group friendships are a great place to start.